She's going to be talking to us tonight about how anybody can make a game in GameMaker and how a game jam is the perfect time to come and do it.
It is alright.
Take it away.
You're looking at me, sorry.
Hello. Okay. So yeah, my name's Shaun, as been introduced. But I'm just going to point out that this isn't an advert at all, but I do love GameMaker. Like you said, I've been using it for 10 years now. Yeah, you are. Firstly though, how many people in the audience have actually used GameMaker before? And okay, that's quite a few. And how many people have actually taken part in a game jam? Cool. Okay, so there's less people doing game jams. That's cool. So to set the scene, I started using GameMaker about 10 years ago when it was GameMaker 7. That was my first one. At the same time, I was also dabbling with RM2K, which was like an unofficial translation of the Japanese RPG Maker. It was around about the same time. My sister and I, we absolutely love games. And so we messed around, we thought, oh, maybe we can make a game. We messed around and that was basically it, just messing around. Never really actually got to the point where we did make a game. But fast forward 2 years, and we both went to the University of Wales in Newport. I did a degree in film and video, nothing to do with games. My sister did a degree in computer games design. Now, that's her. Which wins? She's got two pairs of glasses on. So we've been gamers as far back as we can remember. We've always played games and loved games. Her course was always so much more interesting to me. I'd go in on her lessons. I still finished my degree, but when I came out of it, I realised, you know what, maybe it's actually games for me. So while we were at the university, in 2009, it was the first global game jam. Now, the university had two games courses, so there was a computer games design and then
video games development and artificial intelligence.
Yeah, that one. So more programming and then more designing. Now it's probably down to their lecturer on the AI course, Dr. Mike Reddy. He registered the university as a location, so we thought, brilliant, okay, we'll make our first game. We'll do it in a game jam. So the theme of the game jam was, as long as we have each other, we will never run out of problems. This was the first global game jam that ever existed, so it was quite cool to manage to make a game for it. So as soon as we heard the theme, me and my sister, as big gamers, we thought, Rolo to the rescue on the Sega Mega Drive, if anyone's aware of it. So it's characters working together, everyone has a flaw, everyone has a strength, you work together and you can overcome them. The characters were based off of a Walker's Crisps campaign back in 2009. I can't remember what Cajun squirrel tastes like, but the duck ones were actually quite nice. And so Lash LaRue, which was the squirrel, was on holiday featuring Juan the duck. So this was our first ever experience making a game, first ever experience with a game jam. Never knew what a game jam was before. In the end, it was a god-awful platformer. It barely worked. You could exploit it, you could like jump up to the top of the level and just run across. It was atrocious. The lesson that we learned, platformers are not easy to make. You might think, first game, yeah, okay, I'm going to make a platformer. Platforms are really easy. Yeah, that's not the case when you don't know anything about making games. So that's just a lesson if any of you have come across it before, I don't know. So after I left university, I became an outsourced tester. Related to games because I didn't really want to do anything with film. I've been doing that for 7 years now, and it's my calling, I guess. Every year, whilst being a games tester, I take part in 4 game jams. So I do the global game jam that takes part every year, about the same week, end of January, start of February, and then I do 3 Ludum Dares. So they happen April, October, and no, April, August, and December. Yeah, and I make games. So my first game was actually finding bugs in an area. I did a game where you're crossing the road to get to the polling station to vote. That's basically Frogger. Potato peeling game. This is one of my favourite games that I've ever made. and there's people on YouTube that have done Let's Plays of it, which is awesome, because you just sit there and peel potatoes. I did a nice game where you play a PPI salesman. And this was one that was recently, which was You Are the Monster. It was a few Doodle Diaries ago, where you play as a monster in an RPG. So you try and kill the hero, but you never do because you're a little monster. So I'm the person that would have probably never made a game if it wasn't for GameMaker. GameMaker gave me the opportunity to basically try out making a game. I'm not a professional games developer, I'm not an indie games developer, I literally just make game jam games, and that's it. Now, GameMaker, I still actually use Studio 1.4, I haven't actually gone across to Studio 2 yet. There's 3 simple methods for GameMaker. Now, starting off, drag and drop is brilliant if you have absolutely no experience in games development whatsoever. Then you've got GML, the GameMaker language, where you can script to your heart's content. It has more options available to you than the drag and drop, but obviously you progress to that stage. And then there's the in-between, when you're learning GameMaker language and trying to take yourself away from drag and drop. Now I started off using drag and drop because I had no experience with games development. My other knowledge was Hello World on my Spectrum, and the logo turtle. I don't know if anyone did this in primary school. Yeah. I don't know if they still do that. I guess they probably don't. But actually, another thing that I have to thank is Little Big Planet 2. I don't know if anyone's messed around with the create mode in this, but it's very basic programming, and it can teach you the components of programming in a very easy to understand way. Now, this was actually a few years on from when I had started making games, but in messing around with creative mode, I found that I actually could understand the things that I was doing in GameMaker, and I think that was probably actually the point where I started using GML. And one thing I do find, as a QA tester, making games for game jams, I understand where a game might break. So it helps me for my day job, because I can think, okay, well this button's been set up here, how might they have set up this button? I'll try messing around with it. And vice versa, when I'm making a game, I'm now thinking about what ways would I be able to break it, so that I don't have to do too much bug testing because I've already squashed those bugs. It's not perfect, but you get better at it. Now, thanks to the ease of GameMaker, where I started compared to where I am now, I mean, I'm not like an advanced GameMaker user, but I'm an evangelist now for it. So in my office, we run 2 game jams now. They've both been 24-hour jams, though not 48 hours, because no one can take 48 hours apparently. I don't know why. So I managed to get 2 of my colleagues to make very basic games in GameMaker, GameMaker Studio, sorry, with absolutely no experience. Deep down, they've always wanted to make a game, but they've never taken that step. Maybe they thought it was too difficult, maybe they opened GameMaker, had a look, and they never did anything. But thanks to the game jam that we did, they were inspired. Now, these aren't award-winning games. So this one here is Hyperlight David. Unfortunately, I don't have gameplay, but you'll get the idea of the gameplay when I show you the next screenshot. David is he's our, resource manager, I suppose. This was made by our QA manager, Jack. Now, I actually gave him a copy of GameMaker 8.1 years ago, and he never touched it. Well, maybe he did touch it, but he never bothered to do anything about it. Now, this might look familiar. So he made this in 8 hours. It's basically the very first tutorial that's embedded in GameMaker Studio, the ball that bounces around the screen. But basically, he had absolutely no experience whatsoever. He did it while he was going through the tutorials, and he's actually made, apart from obviously the game itself is using the same mechanics of the tutorial, but he's put in all his own graphics. There's a nice menu system, there's an end game. It's a bit weird, but the idea is he's going to Tesco's, but Tesco's is coming to him. There's like a backstory about the being in a post-apocalyptic future where shops don't exist or something like that. It's a weird game. But then we go on to the next game. So this is made. This was made by one of our youngest staff, Thomas. Now he put this together in about 24 hours. Similar to Jack, he had been working through the tutorials the whole time that he was making it. However, this is actually completely unique to the tutorials themselves. Now it's kind of hard to see in the screenshot, but this is a NASCAR game, so it's pretty unique. At the top, you have like driving, but it's not really driving, you're dodging. So you're dodging corners that come flying at you, and like other cars, and they'll hit you while you're doing it. But the point of the game is down here, there's a dating sim aspect with your spotter. So he'll talk to you, this is his text here, and then you talk back to him. It's a bit weird, but it really shows you how much sleep deprivation affects a person. And this was like the normal ending. But with no experience, Thomas and Jack both made games. They're strange, but they're games. With no experience originally, I've made games. So what is it that makes GameMaker so good? So obviously from a starting point, the drag and drop GUI interface is a brilliant way to get into game development. If you have no experience with scripting, no experience with programming, no experience about how anything goes together, it's very easy to use the tutorials, look at the different actions, the different triggers, and figure out exactly what everything is. And then on that, obviously, there is a massive community for GameMaker. It's been out for years. And so for that, there's loads of tutorials around. YouTube is brilliant for tutorials. And even just the forums themselves, I often find that when I'm stuck with a problem, when I'm not sure how to do something, all I have to do is Google it, and I'll find like someone else having the same issue, maybe from 2 weeks ago, maybe from 5 years ago, but it will still help me understand exactly where I was going wrong. Another thing that's great about GameMaker, for myself, I love 2D games. I like making 2D games. I like drawing in 2D. So it's brilliant for making 2D games. But at the same time, you can make 3D games with it. Sure, it's more advanced, but it has that option out there. The scripting is very straightforward as well, and because you can intersperse it with the drag and drop, it does mean it's very easy for someone that is new to kind of pick it up fairly quickly. One of the things that I've found as well, whilst I've been doing game jams over the last 8 years, is no one likes to download exes, and more importantly, people don't like to download components that they have to run their game with. I get that a lot. Very early on with game jams, people would always, you'd have to run something else to install, say, to get a Python game to run. The thing that I loved about GameMaker, when they released the HTML add-on, was it in 8.1? Was it in Studio? Okay. You can now make your game to HTML5. I mean, it's an add-on, you have to pay for it, but it means that people are more likely to play your game if you do make one. And so many amazing games have been made in GameMaker. A lot of people don't actually realise as well, things like Gunpoint, Hotline Miami, Risk of Rain, Undertale, Near 12, Stealth Bastards, Spelunky, Hyperlight Drifter, to name a few, have all been made in there. And a lot of people don't believe it when you tell them either, because people seem to look down on GameMaker for some reason, and I never understand why. And loads of brilliant games are still being made in GameMaker to this day as well. There's so many games, like it's up on the list now, which is great. It's also really easy to make something really quick and self-contained in GameMaker. You don't have to make like a massive project, and because it's so quick to get a project up and running, I've made Christmas presents, I've made anniversary presents, I made, our company has it used to have a static image of its jobs page, where you can find the bugs and then submit your application. Now we have a game that I made in GameMaker running on HTML5, just because it's that quick to get something put together. But maybe you don't have the time to make a game. I mean, you might have a full-time job, you've got things that need to be done, everyone does. So this is why I like Game Jam. So what is a game jam? For people that aren't aware, a game jam is where you get together, you make a game for a designated amount of time, maybe 1 hour, 12, 24, 48, it could be a week. You can do it by yourself, you can do it in a team. I don't think there's usually game jams that make you do it in a team. I can't think of any. Might be. But I do everything solo. What's explain is that the game has to adhere to a theme as well. Now this theme is usually either set by voting in a community, or maybe it's just a pre-themed jam, so to say like a horror jam or something like that. You usually have to submit your game to a website afterwards so that people can play it. And some game jams give out prizes to the winners. Personally, I feel that coming away from a game jam having made a game is enough of a prize for me. That's because I don't win anything, but I did come silver once, back when Ludum Dare only had, say, maybe 500 entries. I came silver in humour, that's my important one. All my games have to be funny. So, why are game jams so good? So a lot of people hold off on making a game. I've worked with so many people that have this brilliant idea, and they never go ahead with making the brilliant idea because they just never take that step. Well, game jams are brilliant because it allows you to take that step. Maybe you've never made a game before, but now you can actually try making a game. Maybe you find out that it's actually not for you anyway. But a game jam will allow you to just get in there. You might come up with an even better game than what you intended. So many games have been made from game jams and are now released on Steam. If you go on Steam, for the very least for Ludum Dare, there is an actual curator list of all the games that have been made. Such as Titan Souls that Nick mentioned, Gods Will Be Watching, and Look Pixel, which is a really weird one. Another thing that's brilliant about game jams is you can tell people that you've made a game. You know, you might show it to them and they say, well, that looks like a load of crap. Then you can tell them, well, it took me 48 hours. What were you doing? But you can also prove to yourself that you can make a game. Maybe you've always wanted to make a game, you've never taken that step. Or with a game jam, you can prove to yourself, you know what, I can make games. One of the things I love as well is I'm not very imaginative, and I love that game jams give you a theme. So then you have that starting point. All you have to do is go forth from it. So, like for instance, the one with the PPI salesman, that was actually the theme. You are the villain, so you could choose between playing a PPI salesman or a traffic warden, and that was the game. But then there was the other theme, which was the one with the RPG guy. That was you are a monster, which is a similar theme, but you can make a completely different game out of it. I like that. So you can be inventive with the theme, and you don't have to think up an idea, because as Nick said, like the planning process for actually coming up with an idea in the first place is pretty hard. Now, game jams aren't easy, of course. You can't do a 48-hour game jam and expect your game to be finished in an hour. I mean, maybe you do, but then you're super. So there are some important things to consider when you are taking part in a game jam. Keep it simple. I tell this to everyone, and people ignore me. But my number one key is keep it simple. That's why all my concepts are so straightforward. Things like peeling potatoes. I did one where you blow up balloons. If you keep it simple, then you'll be able to finish your game basically. I mean, you might be able to finish it if it's really hard, but you'll probably have a big team. Or a team that's a good size, not too many, not too few. What I find I do a lot, anything can be cut. As long as you have your core mechanics in there, just don't be afraid to cut anything. I've cut sound effects before. I love putting sound effects in games and music, but sometimes you have to cut them. I hate doing animations, I usually cut them. What else? There was something else that I've cut before. No, it's usually just sound effects or animation. If it's not essential to the vision that you had, I mean, obviously the vision in your head is going to be amazing, and then the game that you make is never going to be that, but sometimes it's not bad to cut things out. Plan everything. This is Nick again. If you plan for future you, then you'll finish your game. I use one of the methods that Nick mentioned. I use mind maps. I use a program called Xmind, and I basically come up with my themes through that, and then from that theme I drill down and I come up with the core concepts of the game that I need to make. If you do this, then you know that like 24 hours in, you can see how much more you have left to do. If it's a massive list, well, that's when you use step 2 and you start cutting things out. It's also good, as my partner pointed out, if you have a really cool idea and 24 hours in you're sleep deprived and you completely forgot that thing. And it was so cool, but screw that, it's not going in there now. and it'll probably ruin your game. Now, game jams are a brilliant excuse, and I use this so much to just eat junk food for like 48 hours, but it's actually best to eat properly. If you eat vegetables and fruit, then your body will love you, otherwise you'll just turn into that super pooper, pretty much. So eat proper food, also leave the sugar and the caffeine until nearer to the end of the game jam. When we did our game jam at the office, Thomas that made the NASCAR game, he burnt himself out in 12 hours, I guess, because he drank like a whole pack of Capri Sun. It turns out Capri Sun has a lot of sugar in it, and when he ran out and Amazon now weren't actually delivering anymore, he was fucked. Also, if you get, say 12 hours in, 24 hours in, and you look at your game and you don't realise what it means anymore, and nothing makes any more sense, and you can't remember that thing that you went to do, and then you open something else and change that without thinking about it, you probably need a nap. Now, naps are important. Sometimes, if you only have 24 hours to make it, you won't want to have a nap. But if it's only 10, 20 minutes, it's going to be fresh. I find recently, like I've been doing this for a while now, I end up actually having proper sleeping patterns in 48-hour game jams. I intend to sleep for like 2 hours, and then it turns into 7. But you know what, I still make games out of it, so as long as you plan, if you sleep too much, cut anything out, just plan, then you're fine, you can sleep as much as you want. Most importantly though, have fun. Like Nick said, go outside. Sometimes things do help. If you just sit there for 24 hours, then maybe you make shit game. But if you talk to people and you have fun, just even laugh, then if you don't get angry. I've seen so many teams as well, like bite each other's necks because they've been awake for 24 hours and they now hate each other because they didn't realise that they're not compatible working in a team. So it's always good to have fun, or you will begin to hate your co-workers. Now, you could be a super game jam developer, and you could take part in the hundreds of game jams that take place every year. Now this is just like next week. These are all the game jams that are taking place. Now, some of these are they're long-term game jams, and some of them are only 48 hours. 48, there's no 24 of them, no, they're only 48. Or you could do what I do, which is basically just take part in a game jam once every couple of months and enjoy it as a hobby. And then it only takes a weekend of your time. So it's not like a long planned game where you want to be working on it forever, but then you burn yourself out. If you do it in 48 hours, that's it. You don't have to worry about it anymore. So this weekend, GM48 is coming around. This is the 24th GameMaker Game Jam, and I'm embarrassed to say that I've never heard of it before. I've never taken part in it. This is because it's on this thing called Reddit, and I don't use that. So that's probably my excuse. Otherwise I would have started taking part like the 5 years ago that's been running. So with GM48, you have 48 hours from 1, I thought it was from midnight. From 1 in the morning to I guess 1 in the morning on Sunday, Monday. Your game must use the theme that's picked. GM48 uses community voting, like I've mentioned before. It has to be made in GameMaker, obviously. You must submit the game before the deadline, so not after the deadline, which sometimes happens with a global game jam. All content has to be made in those 48 hours. The game cannot contain obscene, racist, or illegal content, which makes sense. I don't know why you'd do that. You can't. This was an interesting one, which reminded me of saying on Nick's. You can't hire people to work for you. That's such a strange rule. I don't know why you would, but it's a game jam. And then you have to rate 10 entries after the game jam is over. So you have to play other people's games. That's a general rule for most game jams. So at midnight tonight, 1 o'clock tonight, sorry, 1 o'clock tomorrow morning, the game jam starts. I want everyone to make a game for the game jam. So maybe you have plans this weekend, or you've never touched GameMaker, because that's okay. Like I've shown, anyone can make a game in GameMaker. Even if it only takes 8 hours, you can make a game. Now, I don't know if you can export now in the free trial with GameMaker Studio 2 though, but you could still upload your GMZ file and then people can still play the game. So you could still run it through the free trial, spare up maybe half a day, watch some of Shaun's tutorials, and then make a game. Please. Because after this event, I am going home myself and I will be making a game for GM48. So hopefully you guys will too.